pocket party.
And we're back. Hey, everybody, it's your host, Darren Carter, the party starter, and we have John DiResta on the Pocket Party podcast. Thank you. Don't worry.
Be hacky.
People like that, man. That catches on.
Dude, listen, not to get too serious right up front. Hack lives matter.
No, I got a buddy. He's a younger comic. He's been doing it for about 3 years, and he sent me a little clip of someone's like special or something, and he's like, "Oh man, like my new bit that I'm writing, like they did it in their HBO." And then the bit basically was a play on word with the word bi. Like they both, like the punchline was bipolar and then bi.
Right. And buy something on sale.
Right. Like bi-coastal, bipolar, bilingual, you know, and I've heard that joke before.
Right.
You've probably heard something like that before.
I'm bilingual.
You are?
Well, I speak English and Long Island.
See, there you go. There's always a, you know, and I go, dude, you can't worry about it. I go, there's always someone's going to it's what you do with it. And, you know, you didn't see this person do it and then imitate it. So, you know, and he's like, yeah, you're right. Screw it. And I go, and then yeah, you can't worry about it. And then he goes, be hacky.
Yeah. And then you got it from us.
Yeah.
It is getting out there.
It's getting out there.
A few people said it was very catchy.
Yeah. Don't worry, be hacky, which it's funny because I'm still getting over the idea of like, no one wants to be like, I'm hacky, but, you know, still, it's like...
Yeah, no, it's, to me, it's, I thought about it today. I was on a long car ride, and I'm like, did I say I was a hack on a podcast? Did I say that was a hack? Was that me?
You start having second thoughts.
But guess what?
I'm out of the hack closet. Oh, I'm going back in the hack closet.
No, I'm out. I'm fully out. I just finished the show the other night, and my clothes, I didn't get what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I told 3 street jokes that were raunchy.
Wow.
And, dude... the closer didn't hit the way I wanted it to, and here I am going to be a genius.
Yeah.
And I told 3 street jokes, and all 3 got a groan.
Oh.
Like they were like, hey, dude, what happened to the guy that was here 5 minutes ago with all his funny bits?
Dude, I know. And it's funny because Jay Leno, I watched him, and he does like street jokes in his act towards the end.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, and it's kind of like, and then I remember him and another comedian that we know locally, they do the same joke, the same street joke. And I don't know. I know people that do those corporate gigs. Like they're like, you know what? I'll here's a joke you guys can tell to
thing,
I
do that too.
I don't want to do it because I don't want to get so good at that joke that I'd stop writing my other material. And I don't know, you know, because what if your material does so, and then you do those kind of jokes and it just starts crushing.
Yeah, right. There you go. Good point. Good point. Yeah.
I mean, it kind of sounds like that's what happened to you a little bit, like the opposite, right? Like,
I have. I've only been doing this for 30 years, so I'm still trying to find my voice. That's my excuse.
Still trying to find my voice. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm a new comedian.
Yeah, but I saw you on the Tonight Show. Well, I wasn't really serious then. You know, that's what they say, right? I didn't get really serious till my 3rd appearance.
No, I was serious. On a lighter note, I was serious from the get-go.
Yeah.
I was serious from day one. And I have all my old notebooks I'm looking through now, and I was like, wow, look at these crazy notes. And, you know.
It's definitely a journey, because I looked at it. It's funny, I am sort of plugging it, I guess, but I did a special in 2010, and I was watching it on YouTube a little bit. I was skipping around watching some stuff, and I was like, okay, I know it was funny. I know people are laughing, but I'm like, it's not me anymore. Like, I wouldn't do those kind of, you know, I'm cursing more than I would now. And just, I don't know. I know it's funny for...
Watch this.
Yeah.
I think I've had the same thing. And I'm not saying I grew into a genius by any means. But I was on a radio show in Austin, Texas in 2003 for the, what was the comedy club in Austin? Do you remember?
Cap City Comedy Club.
I was there for Cap City Comedy. I had a show on the air so that I had respect, trash to cash. People would even call in and go, yo, bro. And this is in Austin, Texas. Yo, bro, we watch Trash to Cash, bro. It's the best, bro. Trash to Cash. And I'm on a radio on a Friday morning. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Here I am in the middle of nowhere. And I went to the bathroom. I came back, and they're playing comedy. And everyone in the room's kind of laughing, and I know it's going out over the air. After I went and emptied my urine bag.
Yeah.
I urinated.
Yeah.
And this is what went through my mind. Wow, who is this guy? Jeez. He put this on like a record. And it was me.
Wow.
It was me.
Wow.
Dude, it was me. And I got another one. I was in a hotel somewhere really like Fargo, North Dakota, 50 degrees below zero. And across David Letterman, a ticker tape on the TV in the hotel said, do not leave, do not drive on Route 50 West. The likelihood is very high that you will die. And I'm thinking that's a David Letterman funny gag.
Yeah.
And it's not.
What was it, like a blizzard or something?
Yeah, like a blizzard alert.
Wow.
So it was that night I forgot the punchline. And I forgot the story.
But you realize like what did you realize there? You don't remember.
I don't remember. I'm old.
We'll circle back.
What were we talking about before?
Don't worry, be hacky. Then you realize like we've grown as comedians. You've grown, and you realize like, oh, I wouldn't do that kind of bit anymore.
I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fargo. Some discovery.
I mean, there's definitely like, when I'm watching it, I go, that was funny, but I'm like, that's just not what I want to, put out there anymore.
Well, everything changes.
Yeah.
In the whole world, there's no stopping it.
Hey, I'm listening to this book, or should I say I'm reading a book? What sounds better? The truth is I'm listening to it, but in certain circles you might want to be like, I'm reading this book, but I'm listening to it. Being honest, I love listening to books. I'm not really into reading.
Okay.
And it's Jerry Weintraub. I don't know if you know who that is.
I think it's Sinatra's producer.
Yeah.
Your turn.
Yep. Exactly. A lot of people know who he is more than I know who he is.
And he was very funny.
Yeah, he's funny. I love him in these interviews. And this book is interesting. And, he's a top talent agent. And, of course, he went on to produce and stuff. But in this book, he's talking about certain discoveries that he made and with talent. And it's super entertaining, like with Elvis. Check this out. With Elvis, he noticed like, wow, Elvis is he's doing the thing with the scarves and kind of giving it to the ladies and they're going nuts. He's like, I wonder if we could sell those at the merch table. Jerry is. So Jerry, he orders, they're going to play some 75,000 seat arena. He orders like 35,000. And the first night, nobody's buying them. And Elvis is like, what's wrong? Why are you so bummed out? And he's like, he tells about the scarves. And Elvis goes, I want to see a smile on your face. He goes, if I do something, he goes, well, it'll put a smile on your face. And he goes, well, I'm waiting to hear what's it going to be. Elvis goes back out on the show. At some point during the set, he puts his hand over his eyes, like to look at the crowd. And he goes, I want to see you guys. And then he has the people turn up the house lights. And he goes, oh, now I can see it. He goes, I got an idea. He goes, we're going to take a 5-minute break. I got these scarves outside in the lobby. They're only like 10 cents.
Right.
He goes, everyone buy it and wave it. That way I can see y'all. And then the lights go down. They take an intermission. And, of course, they sell out. Wow. And Jerry was like, and Elvis was like, I got you smiling. He goes, like, Elvis said that on the way to the stage.
Wow.
I thought that was a great story.
Yeah, I dig Elvis.
Yeah, me too. I'm a huge Elvis fan. Also, that Jerry... he's one of those guys that he said he learned how to make money when he was a kid, 12 years old, I want to say, don't quote me, could have been 11, could have been 14, but he noticed the men coming home from work, they'd stop at a dry cleaner, they pick up their dry cleaning, they seem kind of frazzled, like they've been working all day, now they have, so he thought, and he went to the dry cleaner and he goes, I got an idea. If I pick people's dry cleaning up and deliver it to them, can I have that as a job? Because that way people can, and the way he sold it to the dry cleaner is like people will have more time with their families. It'll cut out 20 minutes of their day. Boom, they can be home. And he goes, sure. He goes, I can't pay you, but you can just work for tips. And he's like, okay. So then he's making a dime every time he drops something off. He'll pick up a dime. And then he thought, if I can do this now, how can I duplicate this? Then he saw a Chinese laundry place. Same thing. I can do the deliveries. So he'd pick up the dry cleaning and the laundry, drop it off, pick up the dime. And then he thought, man, I'm doing twice the work and I'm still getting a dime. So then he decided, do the delivery of the dry cleaning, stash the Chinese laundry somewhere, nearby, and then a couple hours later, drop it off. And now he gets tipped twice. That's the lesson he goes, I learned. If you could do the job, if you can get paid twice from the same job, do it.
Wow,
yeah.
deep.
Yeah. Same thing. He would set scenes when he was in the Air Force up in Alaska. He was in Fairbanks, Alaska. He tried on a jacket and, long story short, got a job at this clothing place. And then he started setting a scene with the mannequins. Like he had Hawaiian shirts and daiquiris and this. And so now he's selling this event when the sailors, or I'm sorry, when the Air Forcemen are coming in, they're not just buying, they're in their mind, they're picturing themselves on a beach drinking Mai Tais in Miami. And he's selling this whole thing. And then later on, that comes up in his promotion world. He started selling nights like it's a night in Hawaii. And then it would have like a whole Hawaiian theme and hula girls and ukuleles. So now people are paying $75 to go to Hawaii, but really it's just a theater show. But it's,
wow.
A night in Hawaii, a night in London, a night in, it's capturing people's imagination and selling it. And he goes, I'd be in the elevator and I would take my juggler and be like, you're not just a juggler. You're an artist. We're going to create an event around you. He says as a manager, he would be like, if an act was big, he would make them, bigger. And if they were already big, he wanted to make them huge.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm getting a lot out of this book, dude. I'm getting a lot. I don't know what yet, but I am getting a lot.
What's the name of it? I'm going to read it.
It's When I Stop Talking, I'll Be Dead by Jerry Weintraub. And I wanted to listen to it for the Frank Sinatra stories and for the Elvis Presley stories, and I'm finding out way more. Elvis didn't want to. Elvis didn't want to play in. Let me back up on that. So Jerry was around 26 years old. And he would have these visions like, okay, how can I make this thing happen? And he just thought, I want to work with Elvis Presley. How can I do it? So he kept, he was persistent. That's another thing. He said, be persistent, be persistent. If someone says no, don't take it, act like you didn't hear him and just keep going. The next day, and he kept calling the Colonel Parker, Elvis's manager. I want to do a whole tour with Elvis Presley. I want to do it. And he goes, kid, we've already got promoters lined up. That ain't going to happen. We promised them. He's like, but I can do it. I'm going to be totally different than anybody. And he wouldn't give up. And he kept calling and calling and calling and calling. Finally, Colonel Parker says, all right, you want to do this? Give me $1 million check. Meet me. I'll be at the roulette table at the Hilton in Las Vegas. I want to say it could have been the Sands. It could have been, but whatever. It was the Hilton. Monday, 9 a.m. You got it. Now he's like, dang, I got 24 hours. So then he just calls in every favor. He's calling every rich guy he can think of, any connection, any network. That's another thing he said. He goes, your network. It's like, who do you know? Who knows you? What? That kind of thing. You're as powerful as your network.
Wow.
So then he's got a connection, and the guy says, I know a man in Seattle that owns a bunch of radio stations. He's a huge Elvis Presley fan. He may want to do this just so he can be in business with Elvis Presley. And lo and behold, calls the guy. They get on the phone call. The guy he goes, okay, let's draw up some papers. He goes, I don't have that time, which I understand you want to draw papers, but I have to get this check to him, 9 a.m., blah, 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 blah. He goes, before he could say yeah, as he was saying yes, I was already out the door on my way to the airport. Like, yes, okay, cool, thank you, yes. And then he gets to Vegas, gets his room. He's waiting to get turns out there's a little bit of a delay with the wire. And then Colonel Parker, he goes, I need a few more hours. He goes, okay. So then he goes to the bank. He gets the $1 million check. Ends up going to meeting. Actually, when he first got with Colonel Parker, hey, how you doing? He's not even really interested in the check yet. He goes, all right, let's go to the room. And he goes, he kept playing the roulette game. He goes, which is a sucker's game. They go up to his room. He looks at the check, puts it in the safe, locks it. He goes, all right, now tell me what's going to happen. What's your, and he goes, well, I want to do this tour with Elvis Presley, blah, 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 blah. So then he gets to meet Elvis, and Elvis is, hello, sir. And he goes, which is interesting because Elvis was 5 years older than me, but he still called me sir. That's just a gentleman in him, Right. And he said, Elvis said, I want, on the tour, I want my fans to be in the front rows. That's who I want in the front rows. Because sometimes they put like industry or like favors. He goes, I want my real fans in the front rows, and I don't want to be playing for empty seats. I don't like looking out, seeing empty chairs. And he goes, okay, I guarantee, blah, blah, blah. He goes, one of the first dates was like July 4th, Miami. He goes, I was a newbie when it came to promoting. He's like, you don't do that. It's like, it's humid, it's hot. As soon as they landed, they're taking showers. It's so freaking hot. And he had called the theater ahead of time, and the guy's like, yep, you sold out 10,000 tickets. Holy smokes, really? He goes, let's add a matinee. And, he talks to Colonel Neal. Let's do a matinee. Boom. He gets there early, right? He goes to the front. The guy that had answered the phone, there's just a big pile of tickets. And he's like, what's that? And he goes, it looked like 5,000 tickets. He goes, these are the unsold tickets. He goes, what do you mean unsold? They're not here to pick. He goes, no. He goes, people haven't bought the tickets for the the daytime, the matinee show. He goes, are you kidding me? He goes, you told me it was sold out. That's why we added the second, and you said that would sell out. And the guy goes, well, I just wanted to tell you what you'd want to hear. And the guy goes, and Jerry goes, are you crazy? He goes, I freaked out. I was like, are you kidding me? This is bull. He started yelling, and he's like, okay, I got to figure this out. And he left. And he said he walked down to the water. He's like, what am I going to do? How am I going to figure this out? He walked past a jail. He's thinking about the thing. And then the next, he goes back to the theater. He looks at the chairs. He sees that they're bolted down, which means they can be unbolted.
Oh, no.
He goes to the jail, talks to the sheriff, has some money for him. Here's what I need from you. I need these chairs. I need 5,000 chairs unbolted for this Elvis Presley concert. And then, so long story short, they unbolted 5,000 chairs. They piled them up in the parking lot. He goes, I can still picture it today, covered it with a blue tarp. So Elvis all he saw was packed chairs. He saw 5,000 chairs, sold out. He didn't realize there was 5,000 that were missing in the parking lot. That was the matinee show. In between, when Elvis is gone and resting, they put the chairs back in. The second show, now it's 10,000 people. And then he said afterwards, Elvis was like, man, I like the matinee show, but that second show was just so much more energy. It's 10,000 people, Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a lot to that. Did you, when I hear something like that from someone, I'm like, man, these people are fascinating, like people who really have that mind for business, because we're...
Yeah, I wish I did.
We're artists, we're entertainers.
You know what I have in common with Elvis?
What's that?
I use the same cream in my hair.
Oh, what kind is it? VO5?
No, it is called Crew, and it's like a...
Oh, you use Crew?
Yeah.
I used to use Crew. I swear to God I did.
It's but there's like a design cream.
Wow.
And there's a pomade.
Wow.
And
I think I had the pomade.
So, and also, this one's very interesting. Elvis was a cop buff. You know what that is?
Yeah.
He was a big buff.
Yep, of cops.
He loves cops.
He thought they were cool. He carried the badges and stuff.
He collects patches. And in Graceland is a wall with 250 police patches from around the world or the country.
Yeah.
And right up there is a black New York City Transit police patch.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
Dude, man.
Elvis knew that we existed.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I like Elvis.
He
was a Mac Daddy.
Yeah, man. Elvis. And what about Frank Sinatra? Do you have any, did you ever meet Frank Sinatra or know anyone that met him? Or?
No, I know this. When my wife and I first got together, we saw Tony Bennett, and he was so out of style that we saw him in a tent, and it was $10 under a white circus tent in upstate New York. And there was so many old people that my wife and I sat in the non-handicapped section. The non-handicapped.
Right.
That was $10. And then he got hot, and 18 or 20 years later, we saw him at Carnegie Hall, and it was like $500.
Wow.
You know what I mean? What a to witness that.
To witness the $10 tent and then the rise.
Carnegie Hall.
Wow. You know who we saw? My wife and I saw Blake Shelton before he hit it big, on The Voice and all that. And he was super funny and really country. I mean, this guy seemed very country. I remember him just walking across the stage, kind of lumbering with his cowboy boots, and he had what appeared to be a mullet, and he would just seem real. He was funny, and we saw him at I want to say, I don't know, some college, Contra Costa College, or I don't know, some college, and there was 300 people there. I think there was 100 true fans, 100 students who had their little papers, and I think they were getting credit for showing up.
Right.
And then there was about 100 senior citizens who looked like they were monthly,
subscribers.
You know what I mean? Yes, to that theater, and he was great. And I actually got to hang out with him one night on a bus at Billy Bob's in Fort Worth, Texas, because a friend of mine who I became friends with, was he played trombone in a country band.
Dude, you're dropping more names than Oscar Schindler over here. Watch out.
Yeah, and then
Blake Shelton.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Frank Sinatra. Who's next? Woody Allen.
Yeah. Speaking of Woody Allen, he once told me. No, I'm just kidding.
I auditioned for Woody Allen. I'm sure I told you.
Did you really? You've never told me that.
I auditioned for Woody Allen.
Wow.
Yeah, I never told you that.
No.
Yeah. Me and guess who I waited in the waiting room before I went in?
Who?
Michael Imperioli from The Sopranos.
Wow.
Christopher Moltisanti.
Yeah.
And he was Spider in Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Him, and John Joseph. Do you know him? He's a comedian out of New York.
No.
And while you're waiting in for your audition, I'm telling him funny transit police stories. And Michael Imperioli from The Sopranos was going, dude, if this is your act, dude, come on. If this is your act.
Aren't those guys trying to... They're not trying to go over their lines?
Is this your act? Watch this.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Years later, I would try and say hello to people,
Yeah.
comedians that we know, and they're like, I'm studying. I'm focusing.
Yeah.
I don't care that you're from Long Island.
This is my big
I'm
break.
focusing.
Yeah. We'll have...
Nasty.
We could talk at the cast party. Because sometimes there's two types of people, right? There's you're in the waiting room, and there's people, hey, how you been? Da, 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 da. And then there's other people that are like, let me just go over my lines, rock back and forth, memorize my lines, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, dude. And there's everywhere in between.
Yeah.
Hold on. I never met Frank Sinatra. However, it was always in our family that the only two people we knew that were close to fame, there's a true story, is we had some distant cousin that was allegedly, every time her name came up, she's Frank Sinatra's secretary. So that's one. I can't even remember her name. And then the other one, now we were close to fame. You know the Wonder Wheel? It's the big Ferris wheel at Coney Island. It's all run down and scary looking. Mm-hmm. It was I'm sure it was in The Warriors. At the end, the last scene. We had a cousin of a cousin whose cousin was the guy that ran the lever.
Oh, really?
And we would get an extra ride because we were... Yeah, that's a true story.
That's cool.
And you think I'm not close to fame, bitch?
Hey,
suck it easy.
I once got upgraded on an airplane because the flight attendant recognized me, but the flight was only from like Kansas City to St. Louis, so it was like no big deal. And then the other time my fame helped me get somewhere, this is even lower than your story. This is I was at the Ventura County Fair, and the guy that was running the bumper cars recognized me from BET.
Whoa.
Yeah, and he's like, no, hold on to your tickets. I got you, bro. So he got me and my son on the bumper,
Nice. On JetBlue, at the back of the plane on JetBlue, a very attractive stewardess. Very nice flowing hair. I would take a slice of that with extra cheese. And
what was his name?
Why she shriek? Don't worry, be hacky. His name was Frank. As I walked to the bathroom, she goes, "You from TV?" I said, "I am." And she had this big smile with the greatest teeth and leaned in and went, "You the king of queens."
Oh.
It was really nice. I probably sure I told her I wasn't, but I had to break her heart.
Dang it.
And then...
Yeah.
On an elevator in Austin, Texas, I get around on an elevator at the Driscoll Hotel, old school. I stepped off an elevator, and as the door shut, one woman said to the other woman, "That was Emerald Lagasse."
They know you from somewhere, but they're not quite sure.
I'm famous in one place, the eye doctor where my mom works in Long Island. They all think I'm going to Coke parties with Bruce Willis and Arnold up on Mulholland.
Yeah.
They don't know I'm in my own kitchen.
Doing a podcast
with you. What's your name again?
Darren Carter, the party starter.
Oh, that's you.
Yeah.
I didn't want to ask. I forgot.
Yeah, thank you. I know. That could be embarrassing. What podcast is this again?
No, I knew it was something. I wasn't sure if it was Dwayne. Derek.
I know, Derek. They, you know what? It's funny.
Did I ever tell you the first time? I'm not sure if I told you this. Speaking of Coney Island, the first time I ever had an interaction with a prostitute was at Coney Island. I don't know if I ever told you, sir. Me and Jairo Gomez, we drove from Long Island to Coney Island, and it's close. It's only 10 miles. It's like driving to Magic Mountain from North Hollywood.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you're young, you think it's a million miles away. And I picked a nice young lady, and we went behind the Nathan's where they sell the hot dogs by the dumpster. And it cost me $5 and a large Coke, no ice, for a, you know, not the whole thing. You know what I mean? Half. And
our listeners, whenever you tell these stories, are like, "Is he serious or joking?" I go, "I don't know.
No,
I'll
this
never
is
know."
serious. It's $5, large Coke, no ice. It was fun. It was sweet, and I hugged her. It was weird. Here I am, this white kid from Long Island, and I'm hugging, and I almost had a tear in my eye. I said, "I just want to say thank you, precious." And she leaned in and said, "You can call me by my God-given name, Derek."
Oh, God.
And I jumped away and I said, "No, please don't tell me." And guess what Derek said?
What?
"It's okay, because I identify as a woman." Get it? That excuses it. Come on, bro. You didn't see that coming.
I didn't. I identify as a headliner. We should tell the comedian. When you go to clubs, I identify as an arena act.
No, carrot cake is for closes. Do you know that one? That's
No.
the greatest story ever. Carrot cake is for closes. I don't know if you got the time.
I know coffee is for... I got a question for you. Number one, before we do that, you know, speaking of like Frank Sinatra and... Okay, actually, Jerry Weintraub was talking about the mob, but I think it came more because he was a promoter, promoter.
Right, yeah, I'm sure.
And he went into like Brooklyn and these two guys were like, "Hey, we want a piece of your action, blah, blah, blah." And then he's like, "What do I do with this?" So then he went to someone that... His father was in the jewelry business, so he told his father, and he's like, "Well, hold on, there's a guy," because his father being in the jewelry business in that area, he goes, I may have someone I can set up a meeting," and he tells him, Jerry, he goes, "You're going to meet this guy at 9 a.m., and he goes, don't be late, because he ain't going to give you a notice." He goes, "Be there on time, be respectful, tell him everything you told me." Tells him, I think it was Italian. The Italian guy, hold on one second. He goes, he describes the guy, and he's like, "Yeah, he looked like he just was eating, like having transfusion of pasta just in his body, like his head was pretty bloated, but he had a very friendly face, and he had a lot of his lieutenants in the room with him." And he goes, it was kind of like Sopranos. And he goes, "What did they, blah, blah, blah?" And he goes, this is what they said, da, 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 da. And then the guy says, he goes, "All right." He goes, "Don't you think it's fair that, that's their turf, their territory, that you should pay them?" And he goes, "I don't want to do anything criminal ever. I want to be on the up and up. I want to do everything legal." And he said the guy looked at him and he goes, I'm going to take care of this, but do me a favor." He goes, "You got to promise me you'll never do anything illegal in this country or any other country. I need your word. You need to say that to me." And he goes, "I got it. I promise you I won't." He goes, "No, say those words." And so Jerry says he says the words. He goes, "Okay, that's it. Never do anything illegal or illegal." And then he tells his guys, he goes, "Okay, whenever he's in Brooklyn, you make sure that nothing happens to him. Make sure he doesn't even slip and hit a door, nothing." He goes, so that time, anytime he did any work in Brooklyn, those guys were there with him to make sure nothing ever happened. And so that made me think, like, did you... I'm assuming no, like, because you were you're doing transit. You're not like putting on concerts and having a business. But did you ever have to deal with like mafia or mob or anything like that?
It's funny you ask. We were transit cops. We were in the subway.
Yeah.
But after 5 or 6 years of standing in the subway, my seniority got me into a police car. So on any given day, 30 cops would go out on the subway, and 4 would get two and two would get a police car. So after being on foot for 5 or 7 years, I started to get in a police car because the sergeant, nobody wanted to work with him. He was a kook, and I got along with him. We were two kooks that we were just really funny together. In a police car in Brooklyn with a supervisor means we could do whatever we want. You talk about goofing off, and so what was the question?
Mob, mafia, did you ever have to...
Okay, so watch this. Now we're driving through all these neighborhoods where I used to just ride on the train. I didn't know what was upstairs.
Yeah.
Sure, you come up, you go to the deli, you go to Baskin Robbins, and you go right back down in the electric sewer. Now we're driving in a police car, and now we're seeing all these Knights of Columbus is this nightclub, this nightclub, this nightclub. And I'm like, oh, this is the 6-2 precinct. This is where all the jokes are about. This is the Mafia precinct.
Oh.
We're driving through neighborhoods that you see in movies and hear about.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, what? Oh, we're in Bay Ridge. Oh, Saturday Night Fever, the pizza joint. We would go to places like that. We would eat at the pizza parlor from Saturday Night Fever when he bought the 2 slices up front.
Yeah.
We would do stuff like that. We would at Coney Island. It's very famous, and we'd see like half-ass rappers, and I would say that's remember Third Base?
Yeah.
He's from Long Island.
Yeah.
He's from my hometown.
Wow.
So I said to my sergeant, that's Third Base. Oh, what would he be doing here? Like if you had any moniker of success, you'd be somewhere else.
Yeah. Back to the thing again. Back to the.
I don't know. What was the question?
Mafia.
So watch this. One day, Sergeant Bravada, and he had really, what would you call, like ADHD, and he's a thought jumper. So he's reading the newspaper, and he's like, I'm going to make this chili. I'm making chili. I'm going to make chili. And what did you do? Whenever you had to bring something home, you bought it on job time. You got a discount, and you get to go right home. We work days.
Yeah.
So at 3:35, you're beating the traffic. So if your wife wants lobster, if your wife wants bring home milk, cigarettes, you get it on job time. And you go into the precinct with a bag in your hand at the end of the day because we have the police car. So one day he's like, chili, going to make chili. I need chopped meat. And without missing a beat, he goes, stop right here, chopped meat. And it's like Joe's Butcher Shop. And it's not a store. It's like Joe's Butcher Shop.
Somewhere in Brooklyn?
Somewhere totally in Bay Ridge, Bath Beach. Have you ever heard of Bath Beach?
No.
Dyker Heights. These are all mafiosa.
Oh, wow. What part of... Is
like
that Brooklyn?
Southern Brooklyn. Oh, yeah, it's all Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Like Bensonhurst.
Wow.
Bay Ridge.
Wow.
The Ridge. That's what Bay Ridge was Saturday Night Fever. We walk in... Me and him in police uniforms. Granted, with transit. He's a sergeant. I'm his driver.
But still, you still look like...
We're police officers in New York City. We walk in, and instantly, 30 guys with no necks, with calculators in front of them. Every one of them's got their own landline and a little desk set up, like a table you'd see in a comedy club that holds 2 drinks.
Yeah.
And it's got a phone and a pad on it. And instantly... Any human being on the face of this earth knows we just walked into some kind of betting mafia thing. And we should turn around and walk out.
Yeah.
Instead, my sergeant goes, hey, how you guys doing? We're going to make some chili tonight. We look for chopped meat. You got any chopped meat? You got any chopped meat? You got any chopped meat?
He just picked a random thing that said Joe's Butcher.
That just says Joe's Butcher or the deli or something.
He believed the sign.
But he still doesn't have the awareness to say, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
And he says, do you have chopped meat? And they have a 60-foot refrigerated counter that you could see through with nothing in it.
Yeah.
Except a Clorox bottle cut in half. So it's the bottom of a Clorox bottle with a handful of brown meat in it.
Ew.
Out of a 60-foot thing. Like it looked like they had to legally have that to be called Joe's Butcher.
Right.
And the sergeant's like, so is that the chopped meat right there? That's the chopped meat? And I said, Sergeant Bravado, we need to leave right now. What do you mean? We're going to chop meat. I said, we need to leave right now. Like right this minute. And I'm whispering it to him. And he's going, I just want to get my chopped meat. And so just chopped meat. Like he doesn't see it. It's the craziest thing.
Yeah.
So that was my closest brush with the mafia.
And then did you like
we slinked out, got in the police car and left.
Yeah, man. Then in the car were you like, dude, did you get weird vibes in there?
I was like, how did you not see it? And, you know what I mean? No, we as crazy as we both were for about a year and a half, and this is a lot of it's not a lot, but there's some on videotape that I lost 25 years ago. And I know it exists somewhere. But as many crazy things as we would do to not do police work, we also, we got flagged down a lot, and he was a sergeant. You know what I mean? We had to go to calls that, hey, any District 34 sergeant in the area, Bay 50th Street, you got 3 kids under arrest, attempted, sexual aggravation.
I want to ask you about this. This was in the news recently, and I shall read it right now. Okay. I thought of you when I saw this. I wonder what John's take on this. Here we go. 2022 New York City subway attack. On the morning of April 12th, 2022, a mass shooting occurred on a northbound N train on the New York City subway in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, New York, United States. At approximately 8:24 a.m., a man later identified as a 62-year-old black nationalist, Frank Robert James, put on a gas mask, threw 2 smoke grenades, and fired a handgun 33 times. The shooting occurred as the train was traveling between the 59th Street and the 36th Street station.
You could stop right there.
Okay.
Out of the 479 subway stations there are,
Yeah.
I probably had an experience at almost every one of them, but 36th Street was one of our steady stations. In District 34, we had 50 or 51 stations that we were assigned to, and that was one of them. And I used to work midnight to 8 in the morning, and if you didn't do any police work and you had a bad sick record and you were known as a wise guy, that it was too cute by a half, mocking what they do for a living, guess what they do?
What?
They send you to 36th Street.
Wow.
Alone, standing next to a token booth for 8 hours.
Wow.
They call that a fixed post.
What was that neighborhood?
For punishment.
Yeah. Wow. What was that neighborhood? It was a bad neighborhood, I guess? Or it was not a neighborhood you'd want to be in?
It wasn't a horrible neighborhood then. Now it's probably very expensive to live there. But back then, the one thing I know about 36th Street, it was like lonely and dank. And like if you would have forced to just stand there from midnight to 8 in the morning, it's equal to like solitary confinement.
Was there a reason that guy chose that?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Just a random guy that's like
random. But watch this: if you work from midnight to 8 in the morning, your lunch hour, quote unquote, is like 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. in a semi-ghetto where there's nothing open, there's empty lots. In some cases, there's packs of stray dogs. Let me repeat that. You know you're in a bad neighborhood when there's packs of stray dogs missing eyes, missing feet. You know what we call them? Ghetto cattle. Pound it. Ghetto cattle.
Wow.
So watch this. If you got 36th Street as a fixed post because you had no arrests, a bad sick record, and you made fun of the job every day, and the upper guys didn't like that because this was their career. They took it seriously. Now my lunch is at 4 a.m. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to even sit down to rest your legs. The only thing open was a McDonald's drive-thru. On foot.
Yeah.
I had to go to the menu between cars, order, walk between cars, drug dealers blasting rap music, and I'm between standing there like a douche.
You're like, hey, I like third base.
Yeah.
They're from Long Island.
And then I'd have to step up to the window and buy my McDonald's.
Yep.
And then the only place to eat it was go back down the subway and open up like a room or a toilet or a drippy, disgusting storeroom. Where I saw a cockroach once so big that it was smoking a cigarette.
Yeah. What type? No. They let me ask you a weird question. When
I'm
it comes
not gay.
Well, that's a normal question. But let me ask you a weird question. When's the last time you had McDonald's?
I had Burger King today. I had a Whopper Jr.
Oh,
does that answer your question, or does it have to be McDonald's?
No, it could be anything. And did it hold up? Would you recommend?
It's usually kind of cold in the middle. It's usually not, and they're getting smaller and smaller. Like a Whopper Jr. is almost the size of a White Castle.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, it was tasty as a mofo. Yeah, there's something about it. I have a love-hate relationship with fast food. It's more hate now.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I found a few places like I'll get rice and beans. You know what I mean? I'll try and get a salad. I go to Tom's drive-thru. Burbank and Chowauunja, Tom's has a drive-thru. So I get the salad, extra feta,
Wow. I don't even know what Tom's is.
It's like a burger place.
Wow.
You know, they make burritos, burgers. It's good.
It must be like an individual place. It's not really a chain.
I don't know.
That sounds good though. McDonald's. I had McDonald's and it didn't hold up. You know, maybe because I'm getting older.
I think the ingredients are cheaper.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like you're eating synthetic food.
Yeah, I think so. No, you're right, because I remember reading an article about Sizzler, and they were like, why has Sizzler gone down? And they said because they used to go with grade A beef, and then they start going to grade B, or they start, like you said, they start lowering the ingredients, not going, they start getting cheap, and then the food isn't as good.
Dude, I went to, this is a place you play as a comedian. I went to the Canyon Club in Santa Clarita 4 nights ago to see Mark Cohen, who sings Walking in Memphis.
Oh, cool.
Feet 16 off the ground.
By the way, real quick shout out, I will be there. If you guys are in the neighborhood, you want to go there, see me at Gora Hills. I will be there. The Canyon Club, April 28th, Canyon Club.
All right. I went to the Santa Clarita one, and I thought the meal was included, and it's not. On your way in, when you check in for the tickets, they have to take your food order. So there's no choices. It's like a steak, or like a roadkill.
Yeah.
Or they called it lasagna, but once we got it, I would have renamed it blazanya.
It was like very bland.
But to answer something about the steak, it was rubber, bro.
Wow.
I mean, it was tasty because it's steak, and I don't eat steak that often, and I enjoyed it, but it was a workout.
What about a burger?
There wasn't. I think there maybe wasn't even a choice. It was like burger, pasta, or blazanya.
Yeah. Yeah, when it comes to that kind of stuff, I always just go cheeseburger. I'm like, you can't go wrong. Usually you can't go wrong with a cheeseburger, but yeah, steak, when you're like chewing it and trying to cut it. And
yeah, dude, it was a workout.
It was a workout. It gives you
I watched this. Since I saw you, I did a gig in Orcutt, California, which is by Santa Maria, which is by a big Air Force base that I think our vice president was there today.
Tell us about that. Like, what was that like, the drive and everything? Like, how was that gig?
It was, if you ever go north on the 101 and it takes you to that crazy, desolate, lonely Chumash Pass. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You go up a mountain and there's no houses. There's no reality.
Did you take the 101 or the 5?
No, I took the 101 to the Chumash Pass, 28 miles up in the mountain.
Wow.
And if you look to your left, you could see the ocean. You get spooked because it's so high up.
Yep.
And I did a whole routine about that night, and it killed how, you guys put me on a highway that, God forbid I broke down, I'd have to be drinking my own urine 4 days from now. They'd still be looking for me. But between, kind of didn't pay that much, and the long drive, I was and then I said, I'm not going to drive home, so I'll get a hotel room, which was not included. So I paid for my own hotel, and I was like, kind of never. We get there, you ready for this? And it's like 60 degrees out. It's like cold.
Yeah.
And the guy says, "Oh, there's no green room. You have to step outside.
You have to stand outside.
You have to stand outside of the club."
Yeah.
And I said, "Dude, I don't think I'm going to be standing out here. I'll sit in my car.
Right.
And you call me when it's 3 minutes till my time."
Dice Clay does that.
He does.
He did that when I was at the Comedy Store in La Jolla. He waits outside in the SUV.
Wow. And but I wind up doing, the other comedians were very funny. I wind up having a really, really, really fun, individuated, wacky set where I could do what I wanted. And then the ride home, I took the long route, and I drove along the Pacific Ocean.
Oh, the one.
Yeah, the 101.
The 101. But you said but you went up the long way.
No. I went up the. If you take this Chumash Pass, it cuts out 30 miles of the 101.
Oh, okay.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And you save like 7 miles.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I know where it's at now.
Because the 101 crux all the way out and then comes back. Kind of like by North Santa Barbara. Like 20 miles north of Santa Barbara.
Because then there's the one, which is even slower.
The one I never heard of. Get out of my eyes with the one. I never even heard of it.
Pacific Coast Highway, PCH.
Oh, PCH. It doesn't have a different number? That's one, though, right?
I think it's the one. I could be wrong.
Watch this.
I never take it.
1984. I don't want to say I'm a world traveler. All right? You know Forrest Gump?
Yeah.
He's got nothing on me. You know that, right?
Right.
He didn't work with Robert De Niro, Forrest Gump. You know Forrest Gump was never a transit cop?
No.
He wasn't.
True story.
1984, I lived in Huntington Beach. I got a job in Newport. And every morning of my life and every afternoon, I was on the PCH. You know, doing that like 20, 25-mile ride to work. Did I tell you about the basketball incident?
No.
I'm hungover. I drank every night. I lived in California for 6 months. I drank in Huntington Beach. Woke up naked at parties. People had to step over me. I was a speed bump once at a party in Huntington Beach. Naked. Passed out. Forrest Gump was never passed out in Huntington Beach. You know that, right? You know that, right?
I know that.
Why did I bring up Huntington? I got drunk every night.
I don't know, but I got a question. Back to that subway thing. I just thought of it because can you imagine if you were on the job and then this idiot's throwing smoke grenades and shooting people?
I would have to shoot him. I would have shot him.
Yeah.
I pulled my gun a few times. I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
I am so... Watch this. That could have been me. That could have been my station. You know what I mean? It could have been... It was...
Yeah, if that would have happened back in 1987 or...
But put it this way. Some transit cop
Yeah.
that worked in District 34 was assigned that station that day, and I think this is the funniest thing, could have put in his memo book at 11:38 a.m., I'm at the southbound platform of 36th Street, condition normal. Right? Every 20 minutes, I have a memo book right there from the police department from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Every 20 minutes, you have to account for where you're at. So he could have put 11:38 at 30 condition normal. CN. He's 6 blocks away at his Gumada's house in his pajamas. You know what I'm saying? He's off post.
Oh, like if he was BSing.
He's got a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just making memo book entries to
Yeah.
And he could have put that in his notebook that day while 35 people were being shot. You understand what I mean?
Dude, you should reach out to whoever was on that post. If you want.
No, what are you thinking? Do an interview? He's not going to do... I'm sure he's lawyered up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? This is high stakes. They're going to blame... They got to blame someone.
Yeah.
Right? Where was the cop?
There was I don't know. There was a cop there, right?
I don't know. Was there?
If there was, you're still friends with some of those cops and those books and those groups and stuff. And
okay, so here's what happened. I'm driving hungover, and I'm driving right down PCH. It's like 6 a.m. There's not a car in the world. Sun is coming. It's great. I'm hungover as hell. And out of the corner of my eye at 6 a.m., I see like 12 guys all up against the fence with their hands like this, looking. And it's a basketball court. And I look back from them and I see their leather basketball rolling slowly on PCH.
Wow.
So it must have jumped over the fence. And they're all looking at it, and I'm coming 60 miles an hour hungover.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And the ball was lined up and rolling at a speed where it was going to survive. And I just had this instinct that said, fuck them. And I turned the wheel 1/8 of an inch, and it fucking blew up under my front right tire. And I felt powerful over these fucking dumbass hippies that were high on pot that lost their... I ruined their day, and it made me feel good.
Wow. Now, would you do that? What would you do now? The 50-something-year-old John DiResta.
No, I would let the ball live.
Yeah.
Right?
But at that age, you're like listen to metal.
It was just I just knew that if here's what it was. Now that I think about it, 50 years later, it was the manifestation of just having to do this with my hand.
It's a slight.
It's just a half inch.
F your basketball.
With how much chaos it caused.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like saying one syllable in a set and getting like a 30-minute applause break.
Yeah. But now you're a stand-up comic, so now you can do that with your words. So I was reading about Frank Sinatra and Ava Gardner. She was really this beautiful woman. They said that Ava Gardner was just so hot. Like other women, when they were at a party, other women prayed that she didn't look at their husband because they're...
Wow.
That's what they said in this book I'm reading. And this documentary I was watching. And one of the things that she said when she fell in love with Frank Sinatra, now this is a different time. She said they were drunken driving from Palm Springs to Indio, and they would pull over. Remember, there's no population back then, like the 40s or whatever, 50s. and she took his handgun and they were shooting out street lights and windows.
Nice.
And that's like, you know what I mean? It's funny. Like today, oh my gosh, you would just be, with viral videos and cell phone cameras and that kind of behavior.
Things change quickly.
I know.
I've seen New York City cops shoot their guns off.
Really?
Yeah.
Just to blow off steam and just to be funny, or
it's usually to be funny. It's not a good thing.
I was in a guy's apartment once, and he had some phone books stacked up, and he shot the gun like to the
a real handgun.
Real handgun. Really, this is like 1989, 1990.
No, I was telling someone last night.
I'm like, that bullet could have ricocheted or something.
Yeah, of course. I don't want to be anywhere near a gun.
Yeah.
Nowhere near a gun. Ever. I don't own one. I owned them for years, and there was
a lot of
close
If you're watching this right now, you guys look up. If this is on YouTube, if you don't want to be near the gun, I'm gonna show you two real quick.
Whoa.
Describe these guns.
Don't worry. Be hacky.
I'm flexing my biceps. Dude, I can't get a courtesy laugh. I can't get a courtesy laugh.
I think it's funnier that I didn't laugh.
I know, it is funny.
In the long run, it's funnier.
I know, it's funnier. What about the short run?
That's funny.
You guys check out my guns. Every 20 minutes, Darren showed a gun.
Condition normal.
Write that in your memo book. Oh!
Condition normal.
Condition normal.
I have one right there, dude. It's a homeless outreach unit.
Dude, that could be a funny bit for you. Talk about the memo, and then on stage, you have like a little memo. I'm telling you, that could be something funny. Like
a funny callback. Like, okay,
like
500 hours, they didn't laugh at the last 3 jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny inside monologue.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really good.
Or if something goes really well, like guy in Hawaiian shirt seems to be tickled at my new corn bit.
Yeah.
He likes my ghetto cattle bit.
Yeah.
Condition
normal is funny.
This joke worked again. Condition normal. You guys are, you know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. And watch this. Everything you put it, no matter what happened as a cop, and you sell this to the audience, you put condition normal. Keeps you out of trouble.
Yeah.
Right? Because you were there. Condition was what?
Normal.
And here's the other thing. Out of all the dispositions, so you get a call of a dispute, you get a call of a robbery, you get a call of a car accident, you get a call of someone run over by the train, you get a call of someone robbed at gunpoint or at knife point, you get a call of a fire. And the one disposition that you do over the air means no paper, no memo book. In other words, carry on.
Yeah.
90X. So no matter what the call is, we can get there. There's people, blood everywhere. Central, be advised, I'm at Bay 50th Street. It was just a little accident. We're going to make it 90X. And she would come back, 10-4, my shield was 1623. 10-4, Bay 50th, 1623. That's a 90X. Time now, 0300 hours. And 90X means no memo, no paper. Like, that you just put in your memo book, 90X. I went to it and it didn't exist.
Wow. But I feel like that's the easy way up. Lots of people would probably put that all the time, right?
Well, if you're with a group of guys that didn't want to get involved with police work, would you make everything? 90X.
90X.
But watch this, you had to squash it. So if you showed up and 2 people were really in a fight, you have to say, look, if I arrest him, I got to arrest you. It's a cross complaint. Why don't you just go that way? He didn't steal any money, right? No. Did he hit you? No, he tried to. Are you okay? All right, do me a favor. I saw a cop do this. This is the greatest thing ever. He said, do me a favor. You turn around. Just turn around. Start walking.
Guy turns around, start walking.
He looks at the other guy, he goes like this. You, turn around. Guy turns around, he goes, start walking. Guy starts to walk. He looks at me and just goes, 90X, have a nice night, transit. Like he knew he just squashed this incident with genius level.
That's good. That guy's an experienced, smart guy who knows.
90X.
Yeah, that's a skill too. Just
condition normal.
As a comic, you have that certain skill. Like like if some lady's mouthing off, after a while we learn like just let it go, just distract.
Right? Yeah.
Don't address because it'll just encourage them.
Yeah.
But as a younger comic, you don't know that. You're like, hey, lady, I don't come down to where you were. All that stuff just instigates and
I'm only kidding. She works fries.
Right. Exactly. And by the way, I was watching a Frank Sinatra concert, and he used that line in 1978. Except he said, "Hey, you trying to bother me when I'm working? I don't come down to where you work." And But he didn't really insult the guy. He said it was more positive, like, can tell you how to pour the drinks. I just like when you pour the drinks, and I'll drink them. That's what I'll do. He takes a drink. You know what I mean? He almost went there, but he kind of lifted the guy up, and then...
Yeah, he juiced him up.
Yeah. He took it more positive, you know?
Dude, I juiced up a guy the other day. A friend of mine did 5 songs. He's from New Jersey. He's an older white guy, and he did 5 songs in a Mexican theme. Like a kind of like a Western, almost like Clint Eastwood 1970 movie.
Yeah.
You know, with the whistles. Of, yep. He did 5 songs. He gave me the CD 5 years ago, and he said it cost him $13,000. And it hasn't, you know, back then he's like, and you know, I didn't turn into anything. So I saw him at the hardware store the other day, and I started singing his songs because they're in my car, and I listen to it almost every day.
Yeah.
And he had a smile from ear to ear. I was singing every song, and he goes, dude, you really listen? I said, how would I know the words if I didn't listen? I said, you're my favorite. Yeah, it was nice. And I'm sure no one has said to him about that in 5 years.
Dang.
Hold on. And then he said, watch this.
What did he say?
I said, maybe you could sell it for a movie soundtrack. And he said, on that note, he says, I'm writing screenplays now. And he said, the worst thing you could ever hear when you're in a rush or you live in L.A.
Will you read my screenplay?
Worse. Can I tell you about it now? It takes place in Russia. Guy's covered in tattoos from head to toe. That's the beginning.
Yeah.
What are the 2 worst things you ever want to hear? Can I tell you about my screenplay? And I do funny voices. Can I do a few for you?
I got one worse for you. I got one for you. Can I do your podcast at your house in your living room? No, but that's actually good, right? I come to you. I'm like, hey, this works. How about when people are like, do my podcast, and then it's like 50 miles away, and they want to do it during traffic, and it's like, and then you it's not even your thing, like what you're into. Like they're like, we're going to talk about something that you're totally uninterested in.
Yeah.
I did one time. I did a podcast one time, and it was the only reason I did it because they said that the guy, that he somehow worked in the movie industry, and then the podcast took place on the Paramount Studios. So I was like, oh, it's somehow hooked into, okay, I'll do it.
I'll get a TV show.
So I remember going onto the lot, and I got a pass. It felt really important, but then the podcast, you have to, they wanted us to play characters. Like,
oh, no.
Yeah, like you're going to do this, and then you're going to be this. You guys are going to be pro and con, and then we're going to do 3 segments, and then the 3rd segment, we'll ask you about yourself, and you can break the character into yourself. No. And yeah, it was like, I was like, the whole time I'm like, why am I doing this thing? But like, I just,
Dude, that's exactly what I'm thinking right now.
Right, why am I doing this right now? You're like...
Sing.
Hey, is there a way we can reshoot this pod? I had a guest one time tell me that. He's like, hey, I don't like how it went. Can we reshoot it 2 days later? He's like, listen to the podcast, write the script, and then go back.
I do funny voices.
We're going to wrap this up. John, I just want to say
funny voices.
Thank you so much. Actually, let me ask you a question, a serious question. Do you do a funny voice? Can you do...
I mean, I guess
if someone were to cast you and pay you $100,000, I'm going to give you some different characters.
Oh, no.
Give me one line as a cowboy.
All right.
All right, as a rich aristocrat.
What's up, Papa? If I was you, I'd have my teeth whitened.
As a Latino gang member.
What's up, Clucker? Don't clown me. Don't clown me, bro. You're Chaz Bono. Don't clown me.
How would you do it? Okay, now we're going to go to the cartoon realm.
Oh,
you're a dog, and you're happy to see your master. You're a little mouse, and you're in the cupboard, and you can't wait to eat all this cheese. And that's pretty good. All right, you're a table maker, and you're trying to sell someone a table.
Yeah, dude. Usually this is reclaimed wood from San Luis Obispo. It's from a train station. It's from the luggage room. That's why it's all knocked around like that.
Nice.
It's about 80 years old. This table's normally $4.99. I'll do it for $3.99.
Sold.
Cash is best.
Sold.
Venmo works.
All right, you're a guy who just lost his basketball and some jerk just ran over it on purpose.
Oh, did you guys see that a-hole from New York? It had New York plates. He had no neck. He had like a white afro. A white person afro, not a white afro.
Yeah.
I used to have puffy hair back then.
You did?
Yeah, a little bit. I look like
A Q-tip?
like a Jonah Hill type of. Remember
yeah,
Jonah Hill in War Dogs?
Mm-hmm.
The greatest character ever, Ephraim Divrioli. That's what I look like.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just lied. I never saw that movie, but I disagree with you, though. But that's the thing. You could make up a movie, and I'd believe you. I know. I could be like, hey, did you ever see De Niro in the Trash Can
Yeah, that was
Chronicles?
awesome, dude.
Yeah.
You never say no to the improv.
Exactly.
I have Trash Can Chronicles, too.
Yes, and. Yeah. All right, John, you're the best, man. Thank you so much for coming on. And
can we give one quick shout out? You know you have a big fan.
Oh, yes.
Hickory Homestead Creations with Adrian Vita. I don't know if you know. She's
Yo, Adrian.
Yeah, you know her. She follows you.
Yo, Adrian from Hickory Homestead Creations.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's funny. That's better than all my voices.
Absolutely.
Yeah. She's not retarded. You know that, right?
Right. Hey, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. And
She's cured.
John DiResta, you're
Bye,
the best,
John
buddy.
DiResta.
Thank you so much, man.
Anytime, dude. A lot of fun.
Thank you. All right,
Yeah,
you guys,
thank you.
got it. Thank you. Where should I post this podcast?
And my balls. In my balls over here. Over here.
That's good, dude. I like it.
Okay.
Thank you. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, dude. Always. You and I have good chemistry. It's fun.
He's a crazy chicken plucker named Darren, with no tattoos, freckles, only Darren staring down a microphone. Darren Carter will tickle your funny bone with a ho 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 and a ha ha laugh. Tune in and listen on the Pocket Party Podcast.